nothing to make it easier to turn away and leave. Maybe we're a fan of the flame, so why do I keep holding out my hand to get burned? I don't wanna clash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away, away, yeah. I don't wanna crash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away.
Here in Monza, and it is a race opening victory for E. I'm still battling with Kuba.
You said you don't know me well, but I'm your angel in white. I'll be close if you come, I'll be just behind you. You're not on the list, but I can get you inside. Use your mind, listen to my voices, I'll guide you. You give yourself over, yeah, you don't wanna fight. If you do, I'm gonna bid you
But he's gone wide! Speedy's going incredible!
Ticket, you're doing alright. And if you don't trust it, hold it up to the light.
So quiet, try to hide it. If a new thought formed, we would swallow it down. Empty stares, never question the illusion. If you play alone, they will leave you to drown. Stand up, 'cause we are the movement. Don't stop, straight into the dark. Wake up, 'cause this is the moment. And every fire starts with a spark. A revolution. Stand up, 'cause we are the movement. Don't stop, straight into the dark. Wake up, 'cause this is the moment. And every fire starts with a spark. A revolution.
Feel like we're falling away. Maybe I just need to feel nothing to make it easier to turn away and leave. Maybe we're a fan of the flame, so why do I keep holding out my hand to get burned? I don't wanna clash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away, away, yeah. I don't wanna crash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away.
here in Monza, and it is a race opening victory for E. And still battling with Kuba. Hello, and welcome to FRLT season number 6, and it is time for round number 8 of the season, as you can see in the title down below. I've got to say, I'm excited to be back once again this week. This week, we come to a very different track from the past few weeks that we've had. Brazil, Sao Paulo, 4.309 kilometers, 2.677 miles, 15 turns, 2 DRS turns down the pit straight and down that back straight. That is the entire track. As you can see, a lot of elevation change. Of course, the center S through turn 1, 2, and 3. I think very much for me are my favorite corners on this entire track. Looking at the calendar, we've gone through China, Austria, Imola, Great Britain, Australia, Singapore, Monza, and now we reach Brazil for round number 8, just before we hit the final 3 races of season number 6 at Netherlands, Las Vegas, and Japan. Looking at the standings, it's a completely different picture from the last few weeks. OMB take the lead of the championship with a decent finish, best on the grid for their finish last week, but it still wasn't their best of the season. They are 3 points ahead of LR, who are in second in the championship, keeping that gap very close. AZR as well, coming back with points and a P5 finish, but still a DNF losing them out just a little bit to those championship leaders. SET had a tough weekend and ultimately sits on 90 points, just behind. Then it is, of course, it is AERT, 3 points behind them. SKG, kind of in the middle of nowhere at the moment when it comes down to championship-wise. Very much in the middle of nowhere, I'd say. I think they are very much in the middle of nowhere when you look points-wise. So, interesting one there. So yeah, interesting. I have to say UFRT though, 11 points scored last week for UFRT. Big points finish, and actually brings them ahead of already their previous campaign from last season. They're now up to 43 points after just 7 races. Ace as well with the victory. Another team to win this season out of round 7. And Ace take that P1 finish. I believe they are here tonight as well, so that is good. TMS did not race, and TTN as well had a very tough evening indeed. Now, we are about to get into a very interesting qualifying. It is an 18-minute qualifying followed by a 50% race, which is 36 laps around Brazil. So it's not the shortest, it's not the longest. But I have to say, I'm quite interested to see how it's going to go. So we will hop into that in a moment. But championship-wise, 3 points between first and second. 13 points splits first to fourth in the championship. And, that goes up only by 3 to fifth in the championship, AERT, who are on 87 points. So at the moment, 16 points splitting the top 5 in the constructors. I'm not sure who's going to come out on top out of round 3. Honestly, any of that top 5 could. I mentioned about, of course, SKG and how they just seem to be a little bit in the middle of nowhere. 66 points in the championship. Good podium finish. Big 13 points, big points haul last week. As you can see, we've only got 15 drivers this week at the moment, as I've counted only 8 lineups this week, but I might be wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, only 8 this week. Strangely enough, I'm not sure why I've only counted 8. But I think there's only going to be 16 drivers this week. Teams missing, I believe, are Ace. And I think it's Ace and someone else. So I do apologize, guys. There, I am having to quickly sort something. Apologies to all. Apologies to all. But yeah, we are missing TMS and Ace this evening. That is why it is quite empty. And there are already drivers on track, I have to say. I'm quite surprised they're out so quickly. But already, with a minute and a half gone in tonight's qualifying, you can see Sendiox will be the first driver to cross the line. He's quite far ahead of everyone else, but that means he might face some traffic later on. So we're gonna have to wait and see whether that's going to affect him. But as you can see, he is starting his lap. Let's ride on board with the SET drivers tonight. Let's see. Yes, Ethan, they are new. They are new. But through turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3, Sendiox has made his way through quite nicely there. No real problems, just keeping it quite smooth. End of sector 1, a 17.0. That's not bad, actually, for a first sector. Using that battery, bit of sliding on the rear. As now, heading up the hill. Through this long right-hander, we remember Charles Leclerc spinning on the formation lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix back in 2024. But Sendiox making his way around. Looking very nice, actually, from Sendiox. Very, very calm with the steering. I can see very calm movements, nothing too big. Bit of a lock-up, quite a big lock-up through that corner. But so far, Sendiox actually isn't doing too bad when it comes down to keeping on pace. And again, a very nice middle sector for himself as he now makes his way up to the line. And the first lap of the evening, the first lap of round number 8. And across the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 7.139. And I've got to say, that's not a bad start from any driver at all. I must say, that isn't bad from anyone as of yet. Jannes Meboom is slowly making his way round. I believe it's Sendiox's teammates. Archar? I don't know. But he crossed the line with a 1 minute 7.2, so he is just over a tenth of a second behind his teammate in pace. Jannes Meboom is starting another lap. And I think we just saw So with Face to a 1 minute 7.6. That's beaten by Jay Slynn to a 1 minute 7.5. Mac T in P4 now as well, so he's jumped up the order. Jerry Weiss can't beat the SET duo on the front row as he goes to a 1 minute 7.3. As Fleur only goes to a 1 minute 7.6 at the moment. AZR on at the bottom. Marco, he goes to P2 and onto the front row into the 1 minute 7.1s. We also saw LK cross the line in the 1 minute 7.3s. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not saying this out of malice or anything, but I can't be the only person to have noticed LR's sort of drop off in form. I believe only one win so far this season for LR. One win. Struggling to get back on the podium this season, I'd say, for them. Very much struggling to get back on the podium here and there. Just they're not the same as when they started. Jannes Meboom goes fastest of all. 1 minute 7.084. Very solid from Jannes Meboom for AZR. Looking for another pole. I believe this would be pole number 5 of the season, which is just incredible to see. I think it will be pole number 5, I think. Either 4 or 5. But, I mean, it's insane to see AZR's run in qualifying. They have by far the best qualifying strength, I think, on the grid. Pascal Gill just crossed the line to go to P6. So not too bad for himself. Just 0.003 of a second behind Jerry Weiss. I think we've got Ransdal, who's on a lap. as he makes his way up. And it's P8 ahead of his teammate Saab in P9. So not too bad from Ransdal, but still time to find for UFRT. Only 15 drivers tonight, so we are a bit light on drivers, which is a strange one, I must say. Very much a strange one to see. Usually we're not low on drivers. But nah. Yanez is the Lumi replacement. Interesting to hear. I don't usually hear that, but LK is actually improving on his lap. He's up by 87 thousandths out of his middle sector, so he wants to get in front of his teammate. But he's going to pull into the pits anyway. He doesn't feel like it's the right time. But I think Jerry Weiss, improved as well, because he was gone to a 1 minute 7.2. So he's clearly found some time. Vilius Las Taucas make his way around. Vilius, what can he do on his lap for OMB? First time we're seeing him in FRLT for OMB. Making his way around. Let's see what his middle sector split is going to look like. Is it looking good? That's not bad, but let's see, can he beat Pascal Gil? Pascal Gil, very much the leader for OMB this season in performance. How is it going to go? Who is going to get there first? As he does go ahead of his teammate, and to a 1 minute 7.2 as well. So 3 drivers now in the 1 minute 7.2s, 2 drivers in the 1 minute 7.1s, and 1 driver in the 1 minute 7.0s. So not a lot of people. But we can see Jay Slynn will be the next to actually start a lap. He's looking quite quick with his pace. He's P11 at the moment. His teammate Marco, hoping for him to get a bit closer on track, because at the moment, of course, he's quite far behind as we approach that final 10 minutes of qualifying. As Jay Slynn makes his way down towards turn 1, heading through into turn 1 as the 16th and final driver has finally turned up here tonight. But Jay Slynn making his way around down the straight, but he's actually pulled off already, so quite a strange one there. Now we watch on Jay Slynn, one of 2 drivers on their laps. He needs a big improvement. He doesn't even need really a big improvement. Just a 1/10 of a second will already pull him up to about 10th. So middle sector, he's down. He's going very slowly on his lap. He's not pushing. Fleur as well has actually invalidated. He was improving by 2/10 as now Panos finally joins SKG, hoping to bring up their chances in their championship. 66 points. 4 races to go. They really do need a comeback. Honestly, they really do. I think a lot of people know that, you know, this is kind of the point now for, you know, SKG. I mean, they really did well last season. They won the championship by over 20 points last season. They won the championship by over 20 points. To be fair, at their biggest leading point, they actually had over 50 points at their best point. So, you look at it and you go, how have SKG within 1 season gone from over 50 points at their peak in the lead of the Constructors' Championship to now being, being sort of 7th in the championship, as there goes Pascal Gil, who improves to a 1 minute 7.1 in his lap time. That's not bad for himself, indeed, not bad at all. Sendiox is making his way around, and it will be his teammate, Richard, making his way around. Yeah. So Archar goes to P4. Pretty solid. We saw Marco is still going around. Let's see what Marco's going to do on his lap, actually. I want to see how he does because he is improving. So maybe front row for AERT tonight. But it looks like it's the teams who haven't done so well in recent weeks that are actually pulling themselves back into contention. As AERT Marco goes to provisional pole. 1 minute 6.994. We've made into the 1 minute 6s. We saw LK as well improve to a 1 minute 7.096. So he got incredibly close there. As Ransdal goes to P8 and a very solid lap himself. Jerry Weiss finds himself down in P10 all of a sudden. As I think we've just seen Sendiox improve. He's just jumped ahead. Here comes Janez Maybaum though. He's improving massively on his lap. Almost 0.3 of a second and across the line. Janez Maybaum goes to provisional pole. 1 minute 6.796. What a lap from Janez Maybaum. Absolutely destroying Marco in pace by 0.2 of a second. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane tonight. Absolutely insane. I have no words for that. Jerry Weiss invalidates again. More disappointment. LR, you know, this is kind of the point. I've got to say, you know, this is the point now. Final 4 races of the season. This is the tough point. This is where teams need to focus up and really need to think about how they're going to perform. Because, you know, we've got OMB, of course, leading the Constructors' Championship only by 3 points ahead of LR. And, you know, I think Brazil is going to be make or break. I think Brazil is going to be a make or break race. If I was being honest, SKG, I'm sorry to say, but they're out of contention. I mean, currently P11 and P16, you know, only 3 points coming their way this evening, you know, as if this was how the race would finish. You know, that just proves that they're not there in performance. LR would score 15 points. It would only be 13. It would only be 13 points for OMB. So the championship would be 1 point gap. As Vilius Lastalkas is making his way round, and he is improved by nearly 0.2 of a second. So we could even be seeing up to P3 he could go, maybe even front row. But let's see when he crosses the line. He's actually draining that battery. And across the line, he does go P3, and that's a second row of the grid. He finds 35 thousandths of a second over, 45 thousandths of a second over Sendiox to go to his position. Everybody else pits Sendiox is the only one out of the track. And I do apologise. So, yeah, it looks like there could be penalties for SKG, post-race penalties, because MacT has done laps when he's not meant to. He's just, I told them 13-8 that it was qualifying bans, so that gave them roughly about 20 minutes. That gave them 20 minutes from the starts of from then to the start of qualifying, gave them about 20 minutes, but in the end they have not served their qualifying ban. So for SKG there is going to be a penalty coming their way, and this, I think, it's the worst thing to have. I mean, qualifying bans, you know, at this point is just not great. You know, it's really the worst. And you know, SKG, I think, you know, I know I've spoken about them, but I just want to say, like, for me, I think the big thing that I've just sort of realized is that all season long, throughout the previous 7 races, they've been in this weird middle where they're not consistently at the top or consistently mid-pack or consistently at the back of the pack. They've had a very jumpy season from positions, you know, like last race, a podium. Their 3rd podium of the season came last race. Like, you wouldn't think a team that had 3 podiums, you know, out of, you know, 3 podiums out of 7 races would ultimately have would ultimately be 7th in the constructors. You know, you wouldn't think that a team with 3 podiums would be 7th, but they are. They're, you know, it's not the podiums, it's all the other points finishes. But let's put that all to one side now, and let's watch Matt T on his final lap here in qualifying. But I don't think he's pushing. I think he's going to be going on a slow lap. Yes, he's going for another slow lap here. Who is going to be on a fast lap? It might be Fleur. I think it will be Fleur. Or is he saving as well? It's everybody going for a second. Is everybody going for a second lap here? And possibly they are. I suspect they are. Unless, nope, Jerry Weiss isn't. He's not waiting a single second. He doesn't want to burn any more fuel. He just wants to get on with his lap. Through turn 1, through turn 2, throwing the car through, using the battery. You see the car just trying to get away from him. That rear, just not waiting the way he wants it to. Heading down the back straight, up by 0.05 of a second, half a tenth in that first sector. That's not enough to gain any position. He really needs to gain position here, because at the moment, OMB are taking way more points and taking an even bigger championship lead out of this race. Now heading up the hill, through the tight right-hander. He's going to have a lot of traffic in that final sector, through the downhill curved left-hander. Now up towards the hairpin-like corner. This is so deceiving, this corner. I find this corner so deceiving, so visually. Another massive slide for Jerry Weiss. He makes his way round. Ooh, is it going to be slipstreaming? No, it's not. They're far enough apart there. But he is improving still on his lap. Let's see what he does when he comes up to the line. He doesn't... Ooh, I thought he was going in for a second, but up to the line. Where's he going to go? He does improve, and he improves to P6, just behind his teammate. And that's a pretty decent lap for himself. Fleur coming up to the line. He's been on a slow lap, remember, so he's not been going quickly. Sendiox is heading around. Jerry Weiss now retires from qualifying. And now that is all drivers out on track. And we look to the next driver on the track, and that's Saab, who isn't going quickly because he's just been burning fuel this lap. That's all he's been doing. Same as Janus Maybohm. Has everybody just been doing that? Yes, pretty much everyone has just been doing that so far. Nobody else has done anything except Marco, who's coming up to the line. Marco improves by 0.04 of a second and helps his chances to a front row start. He's not going to take pole as of yet, but that is the end of qualifying here. And Jay Slynn didn't improve. That's going to be disappointing for himself. Macti up to the line. Macti improves, but stays P11 as well, so no change of position. Archer goes into P3 and onto the second row. Villius Las Taucas goes into P4. Absolutely butchering names every which way. Pascal Gill into the pits. We've got to look to Fleur coming up to the line next. He's invalidated. He'll start P14 and at the back of the grid here tonight. We look to Sendiox, who crosses the line and goes P4 now, ahead of Villius. We got to look to LK, who's also invalidated his lap, and that's it. For LR, they're all done. Let's see. It's Saab up to the line next. As he comes up, where's he going to go? It's not going to be an improvement, and it is going to be slower. Janus Maybohm, though, is improving. And he goes to a 1 minute 6.586. What a lap for himself. I've got to say, incredible lap indeed. We saw Ransdal as well just jumped ahead of Pascal Gill right at the end of qualifying. But it is Janus Maybohm on pole. And it is, once again, an AZR pole for, I think, the 5th time this season. We're seeing an AZR pole for the 5th time. Interesting. Very interesting to see, I will be honest. I think big gap between first and second, of course. But we know that Janus Maybohm doesn't always run away with the races. If he's got somebody very aggressive on that front row with him. He's struggled here and there when he's had somebody very aggressive on his back. We've seen some sort of pressure get to him at times. So who knows? But let's have a look at the grid. It is Janus Maybohm on pole, followed by Marco, Archer, Sendiox, Villius, LK, Jerry Weiss, Ransdal, Pascal Gill, Saab, Macti, Jay Slynn, Surface, Fleur, JBT Tyler, and Panos. That is the entire grid. And for SKG, their season might just go from bad to worse because they will be facing post-race penalties for running, for doing laps with a qualifying ban. So there will be post-race penalties of that. I'm not sure what they will be, but it's very disappointing to see. Very disappointing to see from them. But we're going to be underway very soon. We just need to ping the drivers. So, with that, I have to say, you know, I'm disappointed with a lot of teams right now. I think, you know, LK, you know, I think LK and Jerry Weiss should be a bit disappointed with themselves from qualifying P6 and P7. Not what they needed, you know, indeed. Not what they needed championship-wise. They're behind OMB points-wise. So, you know, they're going to have a big recovery off of the start to get ahead of Villiers. And Pascal Gill will also be pushing. I think Pascal Gill is a bit out of position. He was improving on his last run, but he failed to finish. He was improving by 3/10, by the way, so he had a lot more time. So I think a couple of drivers more out of line. But I will say, I do think Janus Mayboom there, maybe running a bit more of a qualifying setup, getting that car to work for him a bit more in qualifying. But we'll have to see what it does during the race and whether it will work or not. So, who knows? We'll have to see what happens from here. Of course, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to FRLT. Also, click on the notification bell to know about all the content we do from videos, shorts, and streams. So, make sure to do that. The racing will get underway in less than 2 minutes' time. And I've got to say, I'm incredibly excited to see how this is going to go. Yeah, there's it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I think a lot of teams have a good chance. I think LR need a big turnaround. I think LR's needs a big turnaround. I think also UFRT need a bit of a turnaround to their evening, really pulling those points. I think at the moment with the lineups, I think there's just a whole lot of confusion around what everybody's done. Because I'm quite confused with what everybody's done. I don't know what everybody's done. I've had like 30 seconds since getting home to actually look at like lineups and stuff. So I don't know what everybody's done because everybody's posted about 7 lineups for each of their teams. I think TTN posted 3 lineups. So I have no clue at all. I don't know. I have utterly no clue what everybody has done. But we should be getting underway any second now. We should be getting underway for round number 8 of FRLT Season 6 Assists at Brazil. And it's looking cloudy. It's looking cloudy. So will we see some rain during the race? There's a definite chance that we could see it. I think the drivers will be hoping they won't see it, of course. But who knows? But I can hear that we're about to get underway. So here we go. So here we are. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And away we go here in FRLT Season 6. Round number 8 of assists. And it's go, go, go. Janus Mayboom gets a brilliant getaway right off of the start. 3 wide through turn 1. And there goes our chart already up to P2 ahead of Marco, who got sandwiched into that first corner. Ransdale's round out of turn number 2. And look at that. Drivers going off onto the grass and boards getting completely smashed off of that start. Panos as well, making a couple of moves here and there. Pascal Gill as well makes his way up to P8 already in this race, already up 2 places off of that start, and that's exactly what him and his teammate would want, but his teammate has also lost a place off of the start there, so it's not been the best for all. Look at that, Saab really sending it down the inside, but ultimately having to leave it because there goes Pascal Gill up into P8 in this race, and that is the position he was looking for. Jay Slynn makes his way past Mac T as well. He's having a good battle. He thought he got past, but he's still having to go side by side into the next corner, into the left-hander, and now down onto the pit straight once again, and it's not been the best of starts for him. He's almost made that move and almost made that overtake, but Jay Slynn, he's going to be aiming for that move once again, and already Jannes Mayboom leads this race by 1.3 seconds off of lap 1, and it's an incredible start from our pole sitter. AZR really wanting to pull in that 4th win of the season and take so far that 50% win rate in Season 6. They're really wanting to do it. That would be on level, by the way, with AMS's Season 3 and Season 4 campaigns. Be on level for half. But of course, the season isn't 10 races, it's 11 races. So it's all going to come down to this. Somebody's gone off there. Somebody's gone off a lot, and that was Panos and Fleur who have both gone off. So one side of AZR is leading the race, the other side is outside of the points. So at the moment, only 19 points. With Fast Slap, 20 points will be going to them. Look at this. Once again, Pascal Gill and Saar battling over P8 here. And Pascal Gill nicely placing the car, so there can't be any attack from the Haas. But we still see Saab try, as Pascal Gill has to defend. But of course, every time Saab attacks, they lose more time to the car in front. And that's something that I think Pascal Gill doesn't want to happen, because he wants to overtake Jerry Weiss. Because literally, it is LR, OMB, LR, OMB from 5th down to 8th. So they are all in a title battle with each other. Whoever comes out in front will either take the lead of the championship or will lose or will gain a bigger lead in the championship. So it will all come down to that. But you can see Sendiox is getting quite close to Marco now as well. He's getting very close to the back of Marco for position. He's wanting that P3. SET pushing for a double podium this evening, and would definitely bring themselves up into where they really want to be. I mean, 26 points would come their way after tonight, up to 117 points in their Constructors' Championship after this race. So that's as it stands. So for SET, they're looking very good. But still, AZR would still take 20 points from the evening as it stands. So they're still going to go up to 110 points. So the gap only grows by 5 points altogether between 3rd and 4th. LR currently on their way to score 17 points, as Marco now gets past Archer for P2. But that gap continues to grow between the leader and 2nd place. And I'm getting a bit worried by that 2nd place, because who knows? Who knows? It's it's not good to already on lap 4 be over 1.5 seconds behind the race leader. But the race leader does look like he's struggling a little bit more. He hasn't pulled away as much in the last lap. But if we look at the tyres, everybody is on the medium tyres except Fleur. Fleur's the only driver on the hard tyres in this race, going for that longer strategy. Bad start for Ransdale, down 8 places. Bad start also for Villiers, down 1, same as Fleur. But up 2 for Tyler and Panos. So that's not a bad start for the 2 drivers who started right at the back of the grid. Tyler on the edge of those points. TTN looking for their first points in assists. They're looking for those golden 3 points. Of course, the next team in the championship, TMS, have 13. So it's not a big gain on the team in front, but it's a gain enough for the newest team on the grid and the newest team racing in FRLT. As we watch on, let's see a little bit of pressure now coming from Panos behind, but Tyler just holding on to it nicely. A little bit of a compromise line. Looked like he had a bit of understeer through that corner. So maybe Mercedes is not all safe for the moment, but luckily there isn't a move happening. And look at this. Pascal Gill, by the way, has closed all the way up to Jerry Weiss, as Jerry Weiss now just deploys his battery like crazy down that little straight there. And you can see struggles for Jerry Weiss with his tyres, losing the rear a bit there. So I've got to say, it's not looking like the easiest day for LR. If OMB get to P6 and P7 and they split the LRs completely, very much it might be easy pickings for OMB to take P5 and P6 and bring home some solid points at the end of the day and pull themselves up to 121 points in the lead of the 121 points for their campaign. While LR, at the moment, LR is going to score 17 points, bring themselves up to 117, while OMB, as it stands, only sits with 8 points and another 6 of 14, so they would also go to 117 points in the Constructors' Championship, so it would be a tie at the moment between LR and OMB. But here comes Pascal Gill. He's getting quite close, but not close enough to make a move as of yet. But still, I've got to say, you know, tie for the lead as it stands out of this race. SCT pull themselves up into third in the Constructors. You know, they continue there, but they will only sit... They'll sit 1 point behind the championship leaders. But now, sorry, they'll sit now 3 points behind the championship leaders, 114 points. So, I mean, it's so incredibly close at the moment. 113 points behind, you know, some of these teams were sort of 20-odd, 30-odd points behind EVR, you know, earlier in the season before they shut down. And now we've now got the championship could be split by literally 4 points. Could be split by 3 or 4 points between first to third, which is just insane to think about. I've got to say, it's just insane to think about. MacT, he's trying to make moves, but MacT struggled to really gain any ground in this race. I've got to say, he's really struggled. He's been P10 basically the entire race. Here he comes now. Finally, is he going to gain some ground on Saab? He is. And then he goes up to P9 and up to 5 points in tonight's race for SKG. But it's far from glory. You know, last race, 13 points. This race, 5 points. You know, big drop in points. To be honest, you know, only 5 points up to 71 points in their championship campaign. And I think very much ruling them out of the championship challenge. I mean, they would still be, even with the points how it is, 32 points behind the championship leaders with 3 races to go. I think SKG might be another team to be ruled out. I think 7th place SKG are going to get ruled out of the championship already by round 8. The reigning champions, by the way, they are the reigning champions. They really did incredible stuff in the season 5. I mean, if you look at their campaign, if you have seen any of the races from last season, you know, they had 5 wins in 13 races. They had like 8 or 9 podiums. They were just really good last season, and at their peak they had over 50-point lead, and now, you know, they're going to be over 40 points, about 46 points behind the championship leaders. And, you know, 46 points behind the championship leaders. I mean, that's not even a 1-2 finish with a fast lap and pole, because that's only 36 points. They're over, you know, a Grand Slam. They're over a Grand Slam behind the championship leaders as it stands. And it's, you know, it will just ultimately rule them out of the championship. They would need all of the top 6, I believe. Top 5 or 6, I think it's top 5, to retire from the next race, and for them to get a 1-2, to get a decent finish score, maybe 20 points, to really bring themselves back into a chance. But as it stands, they're not going to be having any chance with just 5 more points gained. Even teams like OMB, who are having a bit of a tougher day, will still be scoring 14, gaining another 9 points over SKG. LR's going to be gaining another 12 over SKG. It's just insane. You know, earlier in the season, we didn't think the reigning champions, out of the first 3 races, we didn't think the reigning champions were going to find themselves to be, you know, over 40 points behind the championship leaders. Ransdal, by the way, has just made his way past Panos. Panos is really struggling on his tyres, by the way, as he's dropped down another place. He's now over 2 seconds behind the pack. Everybody kept up nicely between 3rd and all the way down to 13th. So out of 11 drivers, from 2nd down to 13th. So, I mean, out of 12 drivers, they've done pretty nicely. Marco still leading this pack, by the way. He might be 3 seconds behind Janus Maybohm as we approach lap number 10 and into the double digits. But I've got to give some respect to Marco here. You know, he's holding on to this P2 really well in this race. And if he could still finish P2 for AERT, it's still a big finish. P2 and P11, you know, still 18 points in the end. Jay Slynn gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and I think that's going to rule out double points. But still, 15 points for AERT from their weekend will still bring them up to 102 points. So they will continue to be, I believe they continue to be 4th in the championship. So 5th in the championship. They continue to be 5th in the constructors, but it's better than last. And it's better, and it actually brings them closer realistically. They're on 87 points, so at the moment they're 16 points behind. It will bring them actually closer to the to first. But yeah, I think, you know, for AERT, pulling themselves closer and bringing themselves back to the championship, you know, we said about the 102 points mark, you know, 15 points, 1 point closer. I know it's only 1 point closer in the Constructors' Championship, but 15 points between 1st to 5th in the Constructors is insane. It's the closest championship we've ever had, by the way. Even now, round 8 last season and season 4, which is considered the 2 closest seasons, even then we didn't have a season this close. Even then the championship was sort of, by roughly about round 8, we knew kind of who was going to be the champion. This season, I have no clue. I couldn't tell you. But if I was to put my money on a team, I'm going to be honest, if I was to put my money on a team to win the championship, if I was saying before this race, I would have said OMB. I would have said OMB were clear to win the championship, as their last sort of 3 races were actually far ahead of most other teams. But now I'm questioning it, because I think LR's had a bit more of a bounce back in performance. OMB's kind of fallen back a little bit more. But I feel like SCT, I think it's going to really be between OMB, LR, and SCT for the championship. I think it's going to be between those 3 teams. I don't think it's going to be between... I think AERT are a little bit out of the mix. Still 15 points as it stands. 15 points behind, which is great. But what I mean, they're a bit out of the mix is, you know, they are the furthest behind out of that top 5, you know, 15 points. Yes, AZR will be a bit closer. They'll be just 9 points behind. But it's all going to come down to this. As now, Pascal Gill gets past Jerry Weiss, finally. After waiting about 7 or 8 laps to now make that move, he's finally been able to make it in this race. And up to P7 he goes. But here comes Macti. Macti looking down the inside. He's trying to get Jerry Weiss. He's trying to catch him off guard. But Jerry Weiss looks like he's been struggling a little bit with his drive so far. Down to P8 now, and OMB splitting the 2. So 15 points now go to OMB. And 16 points go to LR. So still, LR gaining 1 point, bringing the championship gap down to 2 points. But I think this is a thing, though. I think it's going to be interesting. But I want to talk about Janus Maybohm, and I want to talk about AZR for just a minute, because Vilius Lastauskas comes into the pits. But I just want to talk about AZR and Janus Maybohm. On their way for their 4th win of the season, 50% win rate. But what I can't get over with AZR is throughout their brilliant campaign, and I've got to take into account Australia. What a brilliant race they put in there. They're still 4th. They're still only 4th in the Constructors' Championship after all of that. After, you know, 4 wins, I think it would be 6 podiums. 4 wins or with 6 podiums. They've, you know, from how it looks this race, 4 wins, 6 podiums, and not the championship lead. You know, 4th in the championship. I think it was the first 3 races I think it was the first 2 races, they weren't quick off the line off the first 2 races, so they already dropped quite far behind. No, Ethan, you're not 3rd, you're 4th. You're dropping. You're gonna drop down to 4th. You are gonna drop down to 4th, mate. As it stands, you're dropping down to 4th. So yeah. Who knows? I think it's gonna be a strange one. It's gonna be very interesting to see. But AZR need to pull this race together a little bit. Maybe get Fleur up into that top 10, because honestly, if Fleur doesn't get up into the top 10, AZR have a really big chance here. They could make the championship incredibly close, make the top 4, maybe, even just 8 points difference or 5 points. They could really make that top 4 very close. But they need a bit more there. I think Yanez Mayboom can't really do any more than he is doing. He's doing an incredible drive, an absolutely perfect drive this evening. It's more his teammate Fleur, who's, I think, might come under a bit of pressure, I think. Not just later in this race, but I think altogether, just even post-race, I think will come under a bit of pressure for being where, being where he is and not being, not keeping up with his teammate at all. Being far behind. At the moment, he would currently sit at about P13 in the order, so not looking good. Not looking good at all. As a couple more teams come in for their stops. Here comes Sendiox on his way out, but he's going to actually come out behind Vilius Laustasquez. And for LR, this day goes from bad to worse. Both their drivers are now behind both OMB drivers. This pit stop has not been kind to LK and Jerry Weiss. Now they're on for just 3 points at the moment. Probably they are going to go far up. There's a lot of drivers still yet to pit. But now they are in that P6 and P7 position. And they're in P7 and P8, sorry. That is a pain. 15 points for LR. And now OMB have pulled themselves away to, I think, what will be P4 and P6. As Tyler gets a 10-second tyre penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But for LR, this is a pain. For round number 8, it's been a pain so far. Let's see, where does LK move up to? Marco's dropped quite far down the order. His late stop not helping, but P8 and P10 with Jacelyn and Fleur still to pit, so P6 and P8 not great at all. Marco is definitely quicker on pace, I'd say, altogether, so I think we're probably going to see Marco get past LK quite quickly, so it's not looking good. P7 and P8 would not look good, I think, for LR. I think it would be... it would very much sum up, I think, another poor... another poor weekend for LR out of all of it. SCT pulling in front, OMB pulling more points in. AZR pulling in more points. I think altogether, I think that's the real thing. Oh my god. Archer is within a second of Yanez Mayboom. And what's the tie? It's 3 laps versus 2. So something's happened here. Something really bad has happened for Yanez Mayboom. Because he's just been caught by Archer, who's not had a chance all race to get close to Yanez Mayboom, especially with that brilliant start. And now he has the chance. SCT could be chasing their first win of the season. And their first win in a while. Yeah, we'll have a look at the tyres. It is Fleur, and Fleur's the only driver yet to stop. Everybody else has stopped in this race. Jay Slynn has the oldest tyres out of anyone who has stopped. He's got 7-lap-old hard tyres as we're on lap number 17. But this is looking interesting now, because Yanez Mayboom has been pulled into DRS by everyone else down to P12. This is not good. Not good at all. What is Janus Maybone going to do? He's going to pull past his teammate. And it's now probably going to be the job of Fleur to make it difficult for Archar to get past. But Archar just does it. Does it anyway. But look at this. Fleur is really making it difficult. But just those tyres are too worn. And it's not going to help. But the gap is back over a second. And now we can see more battling going on. Jay Slynn, by the way, gets past Fleur as well. So it's all getting interesting as this race goes on. I've got to say it's getting a lot more interesting now after the pit stops. As now Vilius Lastauskas makes his way around. Let's see, can he get past the Sauber quickly? He's not being able to as of yet. He's struggling a bit. He's actually losing Jay Slynn. And now Janus Maybone back up into fresh air, and he is now pulling away once again, really draining that battery to pull away from everyone else. Are we seeing Archar drain the same? He's not draining as much. As now here comes Vilius down the outside into turn 1. Hard on the brakes still. Fleur leads away, but they're losing that time to P3 at the moment. Fleur really holding up the grid, but here comes Sendiox on Vilius, as there goes Sendiox up into P5 in this race, supporting his teammate now. 25 points going the way of SCT. So where is this going to go? What are we going to see here? What's going to happen here? Is Sendiox going to be the guy to push through for P4 here? Are we going to see a dive? No. But around the outside is the way it might go. But oh my god, Fleur very much covering that line. Here comes Marco. He is now trying LK for position. He's really pushing LK a bit more now. He wants to get past him as quickly as he can. Fleur, he's going to be under a lot of attack from a lot of drivers behind. He hasn't got DRS. They've lost over 2 seconds this lap alone. Heading down the pit straight. There goes Sendiox. Very simple move there. Look at this. LK's trying to make a move on Vilius as well. Vilius stuck on the inside. He's trying to make his position. He's trying to keep to it. He's dropping back a bit. Is he going to send it? No. And there goes LK. All of that battling has come to waste as there goes Pascal Gill up to P5. As Fleur starts to drop through the order of the grid. Look at this. Vilius getting incredibly close to the back of the McLaren. He's very aggressive on the brakes. I've got to say, he's being incredibly aggressive. 16 laps of this race to go. 16 more laps here in Brazil. We're already way past the midway point of the race. But this is proving to be quite interesting, what we're seeing here. It's very strange. I've not seen... we know Fleur was on the hard tyres and he's changing to the mediums. He started on those hard tyres, of course, but it's all just falling apart now for him. Whoa, getting very close there. There goes LK on Fleur. And I think we're going to see a couple more drivers get past him. There goes Vilius on Fleur as well for position. And here comes Marco as well. Up to P8. Marco also makes a move. 3 drivers get past in a single straight. And that's just... it's just going to be painful for Fleur. In that sense. Looking around, the main thing now for Marco and for Vilius as well is just to get past them. Look at this. Fleur holding up a massive chunk of the grid. He's gone incredibly deep. He's battling all the... oh my god, teammates collide. Saab and Ransdal battling over who can get past the Sauber quicker than the other. It's proven to be quite a strange evening here. Teammates colliding. Got everything going on here. Fleur battling as hard as he can. You can just see those hard tyres are so worn. He can't even hold on to a position when he's on the inside of the corner. It's just such a strange thing to see. It's just so strange as Jay Slynn now comes into the pits. And everybody jumps up another position in tonight's race. Panos gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's 4 seconds behind the rest of the grid. Behind Tyler, actually, in 15th. He's incredibly far behind. So it's proving to not work tonight. Some of SKG's strategies or ideas. Macti up to P10. He gets ahead of Saab, but off the track he goes. Jerry Weiss gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and that is another penalty for LR's Jerry Weiss. Ultimately, I mean, think about it. He's going to drop down to P11, sorry, in this race, possibly even P13, but I think P11. So from 6 points, he's down to 3, so he's halving his points. And for LR, that's just another. It's just another bit of damage to their evening. As we now follow the racing down towards turn 1. Nothing really happening there as Fleur now goes into the pits finally in his race. One driver who got very close behind is Marco to Villiers. Villiers is struggling a bit on these hard tyres. He's clearly not had the same luck as he had on the mediums, because he's just seems to have slowed down quite a bit. He doesn't seem as agile on those hard tyres as he was on the medium tyres. So we'll have to wait and see whether it's going to come together for Villiers. But at the moment, I wouldn't really be worried. I mean, 19 points going OMB's way. More points than LR. 3 more points. Which is going to become even more because, he's going to drop. He's going to lose another 3 points. So not just 3 points. It's going to become 6 points gained over LR. So up to 9 points in the lead of the Constructors' Championship ahead of LR. I don't know how this is going to go, because I do think, quite possible, I think Archer is going to stay P2. I think he's very much going to stay P2. I think Janus Mayboom clearly controlling this race from start to finish. He's been absolutely incredible in this race. He's just controlled it from start to finish. Pascal Gill, I think Pascal Gill very much in for a chance here to take P3 and to take a podium for OMB tonight, and to add to their podium list. In assists, and to continue to lead the championship and build an even bigger lead in the championship, possibly bring them up to 11 points ahead of LR, which is just, even just an extra couple of points is all that, OMB want. That's really what they want, and that's really what they need, is a couple more points going their way. And this is, and I know that I've spoken a lot about the championship this race. And I know that I've spoken, I've not spoken so much about the action or about the race itself. And I've mostly spoken about the championship. But this is the final 4 races. This is very much about the championship now. As there goes Marco on Villiers. As Marco pulls up to P6. So Marco may be coming back alive again on the hard tyres. Taking him a while. But there goes Macti on Jerry Weiss for P8. I was expecting that move to be made, and he has been able to make that move. Up into P8, 6 points coming the way of SKG. That's not too bad, I think. That's not too bad for their evening. Up to 72 points in the Constructors' Championship. I think very much they will take that against everything this evening. I think they will very much take anything, really. I think SKG, I'm afraid to say, mathematically they could win it, but if I was to be honest, I think SKG are out of the championship chance. Same for anybody below that. Looking at Janaz Mayboom, what a race he's put on. Absolute dominance. No driver close to him in qualifying. 4/10 in the lead for pole. Took pole by 4/10 of a second, almost half a second altogether. He's led almost every single lap of this race. He's dominantly ahead, 4 seconds in the lead of the race. He's very far ahead so far this evening. He's doing an incredible job once again this season. It's just absolutely insane. But it's strategy here. You know, we've got AZR. You know, after Australia, they kind of became the favourites in the championship. They became very much the favourites to win. You know, they're down on 90 points. You know, they're down on sort of 90 points in the championship. They're not where they want to be. You know, down on 90 points. So they'll pull up. They'll pull up a bit. They'll pull up, you know, 18 points in the Constructors' Championship. And, well, 20 points probably, as it stands. About 20 points in the championship. And that's really what I think AZR need. You know, 20 points. Pull them back. Bring them up to 110 points after this race. Really get them back up into the championship. We know AERT, P6, P16, so P6 at the moment. Only 8 points coming their way, so they are going to go up to 95 points. So I might, to be honest, I might even rule out AERT from winning the championship because they've just dropped that bit too far behind. We got SET, P2, P3, you know, 29 points. I mean, that's insane. 120 points is what SET will go up to after this race, if it ends the way it does. 120 points. Of course, reigning no assists champions, who are currently leading, who are currently second in the Constructors in no assists. The reigning champions not having the best of seasons in either assists or no assists, from SKG to SET. So that's clearly been a bit of a struggle. OMB are going to go up 11 and then another 7. So 18 points this evening. Going to bring themselves to a 121 points. So 1 point in the lead of the Constructors' Championship over SET. LR, though, they look like they're in a bit of a mess. Going to drop down to P11 with Jerry Weiss at 3 points. So 13 points this evening and bring themselves up to 113. So that it looks like LR set to drop down to... they're set to drop down to third in the Constructors. For the first time this season, they're going to... Well, actually, for the second time this season. But yeah, it's, you know, third in the championship for LR. Last team to overtake them was AZR. And it's not AZR overtaking them, it's actually SET overtaking them for the championship. But the gap does come down to 1 point. And LR just 8 points behind. LR's just going to be 8 points behind the Constructors' Championship leader. 5 points built, for 5 points gained, really, just for OMB this week. AERT will sit on 95 points, so they will be 26 points behind in the championship, and that gap is disturbingly large. I think everybody can agree that gap is a bit large. 26 points. But outside of that, the reason why I'm also talking about the championship is because everybody from first down to 9th are not connected to each other. They're all split by over a second until LK has just pulled that down below a second just now. But everybody else sort of over a second, couple of seconds gap actually between quite a few. Hello, Robin Langenbush. Welcome to the stream this evening. Penalties. It is 3 seconds. The 3-second group is Jerry Weiss, Saab, Panos, and Jay Slynn, and the 10-second group is just Tyler on his own. So, not the best of evenings for some teams. What's interesting is actually, if we look at the positions gained and lost, Pascal Gill up 5, his teammate down 2, Marco down 4, same as his teammates. Up 1 for Silverface, up 2 for Tyler, up 2 for Panos, down 1 for Fleur. But if we were to actually go through it, all the positives are Archer, Sendiox, Pascal Gill, LK, Macti, Sir with Face, Tyler, and Panos. All of the negatives are just Marco, Villius, Jerry Weiss, Ransdal, Saab, Fleur, and Jay Slynn. And the only person who hasn't changed position is Janus Maybaum. Only driver not to change position. As we have crawled over into the 30s, into the 30 laps. Lap 30 of 36. Now, I've got to say, it has gone by incredibly quickly. I did not think it was going to go by this quickly. But it is a short track. So, across the line, Janus Maybaum starts lap 31. 6 laps remaining of tonight. 6 laps still remain of this evening. So let's see, what can Janus Maybaum achieve? Can he achieve another victory? Can he achieve, I think it's going to be his 3rd win of the season. 3rd or 4th, as Ransdal gets past Jerry Weiss for P9 on track. And he's not going to gain any more, but it's P9 and it's 5 points for UFRT. And it's going to be a 6th with Saab, so 6 points for UFRT on the way. Whoa, Jerry Weiss, very aggressive from the LR driver there, and that. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if that incident got reported. I really wouldn't be surprised today if we saw that. So yeah, now we watch on. Janus Maybaum now starts the final 5 laps of tonight's race. But Pascal Gill, by the way, as LK and Marco have gotten within a second, Pascal Gill has also gotten within a second of Sendiox. So it might not be all perfect for SET. And OMB might pull an extra 2 points ahead in the championship. And SET might lose another 2. So we might see 123-point championship leaders and 118 for second in the championship. So who knows? It is looking very interesting here tonight. Macti also has closed up to Villiers as well for P7 here. I've got to say, Macti, very aggressive this evening. He's been quite quick, actually, on these hard tyres. But the thing is, I think he just started too far back. He's, he wasn't able to really turn the mediums to work for him. He wasn't really able to do that. He struggled quite a bit on the medium tyres. And I think losing those first sort of 15, 16 laps, I think just really lost him any chance, losing that sort of first half of the race, pretty much almost the entirety of the first half, just to being slow on the mediums. But Pascal Gill, he gets closer and closer to Sendiox on track as we go on to lap 33, and that is somebody who's had a moment. That's Tyler who's had a moment. Is that a half spin that we've seen? I think it is. It is a half spin. And he's going to keep going, though. P14, he's going to keep going in this race. He's not quitting. For the first time this season, we've made it over 30 laps into a race without actually seeing a retirement. So that's interesting. Will we see our first retirementless race in a while? But Villiers making his way around. He's trying to defend. Very much the same as Sendiox here. But for Villiers, the downside he's got to the car behind is that he's not there. If you get what I mean. Like, he's not entirely able to keep up. He's struggling a little bit more. His tyres are a bit older than Macti's tyres, I do believe. 20 laps versus 17. So 3 lap difference. That's at least an extra maybe 8 or 9% tyre wear at least. And that's if you were saving. So I've got to say, it's looking interesting as we go on to the final 3 laps of tonight's race. Here comes Macti. Where's he going to go? Inside, outside. He's going to choose the inside. But look at that. Villiers is quite well at taking his racing line. Perfectly fine. Not a double move there. Not moving under braking either. So a very good line from Villiers out of the first corner. But let's see. Can he hold on to this position down towards turn 4? As Macti's trying to make the move. But he's had a massive slide there. And ultimately, it's allowed Villiers back through into P7. I'm not sure what's going on for Macti. He's just struggling. He's really struggled to get past Villiers in the last few laps. He sat behind him for about maybe 6 to 8 laps. I'm not sure what the biggest winning... I think it was 11 seconds in assists. I think that's been the biggest winning margin so far this season. Might be less, might be more. I know in no assists, the biggest winning margin has been 18 seconds. Sorry, not 18. I think 10 seconds has been the biggest winning margin in no assists this season. But it's 10.3 seconds at the moment between first and second in tonight's race. But there goes Matti, who's finally made the move past Villiers. Took him a bit longer to do it, but who knows. But look at this. Something's clearly gone wrong for Archer because I think maybe some teamwork giving him his teammate some DRS. But the problem is we've now got these 3 cars who are all quite close. And if they're able to catch out SET, we could see SET tumble down to P5, P6 in this race. I don't think any team really wants that for their evening. And we do have some battling going on. We do have Saab battling with Sir with Face into the next corner. Whoa, getting incredibly close there. Bit too close for comfort and still racing side by side. But Saab is able to take that inside line. Can he get the drive out of the corner? He does, just about. He's just about gotten the drive out of the corner, but still not enough. As we now look to the leader for the final lap. Look at this. Who is going where? Here comes Pascal Gill. He's closing. He's closing. He's closing. He's closing. More and more and more. Is he sending it? No, he's not. He's going to be waiting behind. Let's see what's going to happen here. It's also big for LK here if he can get in front of Pascal Gill, because that at least pulls the championship a bit closer between those two. But here comes Pascal Gill. To the inside he looks. He's unable to make the move still. He's still waiting to make this move. This one final move in this race. He just needs one single position, and that's another podium for OMB in their championship leading run. Whoa, and a lock up on the rear. That's going to lose him some time, and that's exactly what he didn't want on this lap. Villiers, his teammate as well, needs to make a move very soon. He's saving up the battery for the straight. Let's see. It's not as much battery saved for Sendiox here, so it might be a chance, but we've got to look to the leader. Jannes Mayboom is going to come across the line to win in FRLT Season 6, round number 8 at Brazil in assists. And what a win it is for the team of AZR. Here comes Archer to the line. P2 and P3 for SET. Pascal Gill and LK just miss out on the podium positions. As we can see, spits of rain are coming down. You can see as the rest of the grid comes up to the line. Jerry Weiss crosses the line. Ransdal jumps ahead of him. Lots of changes everywhere. And the final few drivers cross the line. Tyler gets another 10-second time penalty. And the final driver in this race, the 16th driver, across the line, Fleur, in 16th and last. And that is, I think, one of just 2 races this season where we haven't suffered in assists. One of 2 assists races that we haven't suffered a retirement. So I've got to say, it's quite nice to see. But Jannes Mayboom celebrates the victory here in Brazil. Another victory for AZR, their 4th of the season. They won round 3, 4, and 5, and now they've won round number 8. Still, for AZR, there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more of the season to go. Anything could still happen with the remaining 3 races in the season. It is now officially the end game zone of Season 6 assists. It's very much the end zone. Jannes Mayboom wins from pole. He doesn't take the fast lap, though, so only 19 points go the way of AZR. Archer and his teammate Sendiox finish off the podium for SCT, followed by Pascal Gill, LK, Marco, Macti, Villiers, Ransdal, Jerry Weiss, Sir with Face, Saab, Panos, Jay Slynn, Fleur, and Tyler in 16th and last. And that is everything for tonight. I've got to say, just incredibly interesting. I have no idea how that racing was. I think it was a quieter night. I think we can all agree it was a much quieter night for racing. I think the teams are a lot more focused in these last couple of races, of course. about championship, about position. That's what they're really focused on coming into these last couple of races. So when I look at that and I go, all right, these last few races, what are they focusing on? And it's about position. It's about position, but it's about also finishing the race more than not finishing. I think this is why we've seen all 16 drivers finish the race tonight. It's because they'd rather finish than not finish a race by taking a chance. And I think that's what we saw with Pascal Gill in those final couple of laps. So with that, we're going to move on to a couple of quite interesting things. We're going to move on to interviews. Let's see. Are we going to get some interviews from everyone today? Will we get some interviews from the drivers? And AZR are all in are all in already. They're all ready they're just ready for me, just so I can interview them. They're all ready already. They're ready. So let me stick these strange headphones on that I do have. Interesting evening is the way I'd very much put it. I think it was a very different race than what we've seen in especially compared to like last week or the previous race. So let's just we'll just go through the order in a second. So we will quickly. I'm just sorting settings ever so quickly. So Yanis Mobile has to go, but we'll bring in Ethan and Job. Hello to both of you. Sadly, Yanis decides that Bro needs to go. But just a couple of questions. One, how do you feel with the result today? Of course, massive win. I believe that might actually be the biggest winning margin of the season. I'd have to double check and go over each race. But I do believe it is the biggest winning margin of assists this season. So how does it feel to get sort of another win? Yeah. Yeah. Let's forget Monza. We'll just forget Monza. Yeah. Yeah. Monza just doesn't exist anymore, Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think he had a lot of pace this evening. And I think from start to finish he was far ahead of everyone else. How can't this is strange. Hang on. Okay. Something fun is happening with my audio, which is just yeah. I don't know why. It should be picking it up. I don't know why it's not doing that. Daniel, shut up. I'm literally looking at my OBS and there's like it's showing audio is coming up. Like no, bro. It's not muted. It's not muted. It's literally I'll do this. Look, I'll share my screen. I'll be so nice to share my screen with you. It's literally like not muted or anything. There we go. Who's ready to get deafened? I don't know. Like I don't know why bro's asking me. Like thing is, I can hear you guys twice through my headphones because No, Daniel, I'm not. I don't know why this isn't working. There's just clearly something wrong with OBS and it's just disliking me. Yeah, I'm not sure what's wrong. Yeah, this is ideal. Of course, it's ideal. This is okay. Hang on. Give me a second. I have an idea. I've had a brainwave of a moment. Okay, I will cook, bro. I am cooking. Okay, let's see. Will this work? This should work. Okay. If you speak again, it should be working.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Daniel, if you can hear them and you're just being like, bro, if you hear them and say that like you're not, I am gonna kill you, bro. Like for real. I'm sorry, Ethan. You're gonna have one owner less, but
Okay. If you speak again, it should be working.
Oh, it works.
It worked.
Yes,
It
yes.
oh
worked.
my god,
Yes,
bro,
yes.
this what OBS did the other week was it reset everything. It reset literally every single one of my settings. And
That is
what it's
amazing.
done is it's reset my you know the audio tracks you have yeah, on the audio mixer. It reset it to just this weird setting. So I basically couldn't hear basically it's put it through different tracks and so you can't hear anything. But it's working now. So let's get back to the interview finally. Crisis averted. Based off tonight, just sort of I know that Fritz is your second driver. You know, a big gap between both your drivers. So how do you feel about that? You know, sort of, you know, P1 and last.
I think we can be really happy with the Felix because he obviously helped Jonas out big time by holding up people, and that also helped us secure the win. So I don't think we should mind him being so far behind too much, I guess.
Fair enough. One last question:
think-
Do you feel like you've got the chance, championship wise now? Do you feel like the championship is going to be yours?
Yes.
Definitely.
You know what? I'm just gonna clip
Absolutely.
that. I'm just gonna clip that and use that.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm just gonna use that in next
Top
season's
one
trailer.
coldest interviews, and I'm
Just
right
yes, just yes. You know what? I'm just gonna blast that. I'm actually, you know what? I'm just gonna make a song for FRLT. This is FRLT. Yes, just it's gonna be insane. But ultimately, thank you for joining me through this half kind of interview that kind of worked, kind of
Thanks
didn't.
for having us.
Yeah. And luckily we fixed it, so thank God. But yeah, thanks for joining and best
Have a
of
good
luck.
night.
Have a good night.
No.
Yes.
Alright.
So with that is the interviews done, and I do apologise for the absolute horrific problems with the audio. I don't know why OBS has reset everything last week. I did have an update on OBS, but it just reset everything. So that's my bad. Sorry. No, I'm not adding a soundboard. No, not happening. No chance. Nada. Never gonna happen, bro. But yeah, ultimately with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as I've just gotten a piece of dust in my mouth, which is just brilliant. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also click on the notification bell to know about all the content we do, from short streams and videos. Make sure to tune in on Saturday for No Assists at Brazil. Same track, same time, 8 p.m, but on Saturday, so make sure to do that. Yeah, also big ups to our affiliates, Motorsport Connect and VRE. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.
Feel like we're falling away. Maybe I just need to feel nothing to make it easier to turn away and leave. Maybe we're fanning the flame, so why do I keep holding out my hand to get burned? I don't wanna clash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away, yeah. I don't wanna crash anymore. I can hear the ghosts in the walls. It's telling me to run away.
Monza, and it is a race opening victory for Eve. And still battling with Kuba.
You said you don't know me well, but I'm your angel in white. I'll be close if you come. I'll be just behind you. You're not on the list, but I can get you inside. Use your mind, listen to my voices and guide you. Give yourself over, yeah, you don't wanna fight. If you do, I'm gonna bid you a
But he's gone wide!
night,
Speedy's going
hang on to your
incredible!
ticket, you're doing alright. And if you don't trust it, hold it up to the light.
Right there, oh so quiet, try to hide it. If a new thought formed, we would swallow it down. Empty stares, never question the illusion. If you play alone, they will leave you to drown. Stand up, 'cause we are the moving, and you don't stop. Straight into the dark. Wake up, 'cause the system